Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, the pirates are fighting against the island residents. The pirates are winning against the players due to their large numbers. A pirate kicks a player with all of his force. He then gets ready to kill the player because the game gives more rewards for killing human players instead of monsters. But soon, he comes to a stop after hearing a system announcement that says Point A has been captured by Korean team and buffs will be granted to them. A total of 8 huge buffs are then granted to the Korean players all over the island. The Korean weak player who was about to get killed grabs the hand of the pirate. He is overflowing with power and the pirate tries to beg him for his life. The Korean players are overpowering the Chinese players and they seem unstoppable. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Seongwu has finally taken control over all 3 points of the island. Seongwu says that these buffs are too much overpowered for a minigame and he cannot understand why they ran away from the mainland while they had this much of a powerful item. A notification pops up which informs them that the minigame will conclude in 8 hours, and Seongwu says that 8 hours are more than enough to finish things in here. In the afternoon, most of the pirates on the island have been either killed or captured by the Korean players. The Korean players are looking motivated as they landed a huge blow to the Chinese pirates. One of the Chinese pirates is announcing on a mic that everything is over, except for the few who ran towards the ships. Their entire fleet was annihilated. Seongwu was thinking that after watching this stream, Chinese players will hesitate a bit before messing with Koreans, but the chat is filled with praises of the Emperor from Chinese server number 1, who is rumored to have controlled over 400 units in a single battle, and most people say that Seongwu is a bit similar to their Emperor. Seongwu is curious to know who this Emperor is, so he asks the announcer about it. The announcer informs him that he is the winner of Server 1. He is based in Shaanxi and Beijing and he claims to be an emperor. He asks the announcer why people are saying that he is like the emperor, and the announcer informs him that the emperor can also summon units like him. Seongwu is thinking that most 5-star classes specialize in leading groups. The Vampire Lord used to do it by infecting players, and the Prosecutor does it by training other players, and the Lord General of Heaven uses brainwashing to control players. But Seongwu is a bit different from others as he summons dead bodies instead of players, and people are still calling him similar to the Emperor. Seongwu inquires about the class of the Emperor and the announcer has no idea about it. It turns out the strongest players in China are doing their best to hide their powers, while Seongwu was just forced to reveal everything on these live streams. At the same time, Hanho starts screaming with joy as he found an item on the body of the Lord General of Earth. This item turns out to be a heroic rank 3rd stage dwarven made hand cannon. It can load bullets by just inserting 10 mana into it. Since there are 2 hand cannons, Hanho gifts one to Righty, and Righty's eyes start brimming with cuteness. Hanho throws the other handmade cannon towards Seongwu as he is not good with using mana, and Ji-seon is a swordsman, so it's pretty useless for both of them. Hanho and Righty then start scavenging the corpses for some useful items. Seongwu revives Ji-xuan to check if he can see his memory fragments. Luckily, he receives a message that he can check his memory fragments, and he gets teleported into his memory space with a bright flash of light. Back in time, the main ship of the pirates was moving through the ocean. Ji-xuan, along with his top brass, was having a meeting inside a room. Hui says that a statue of an angel was recently found, and before it, there was a devil statue found in Server 1. Kwan gets too much excited after hearing it and he starts showering them with questions like if they have finally gotten a hint about an absolute race. He further asks them about the effects and abilities of these statues. Seongwu just remembered now that angels and devils were a part of future updates. Ji-xuan informs them that their Lord General of Heaven came in contact with the statue and it granted him a quest, but he has not mentioned the details to Ji-xuan. Kwan says that he is the brain of this rebellion, so he must know something, and Seongwu is also curious to know more details about it. Ji-xuan informs them that the Lord General of Heaven said that he will explain it in detail after they overtake Seoul, and they should first focus on their mission. Ji-xuan informs them that after taking over the Ganghwa Island through the minigame, Hui team will sneak into Seoul and use this scroll. All of them get shocked after hearing it, as this item is the infamous Demon's Door. Ji-xuan says they are right, and if they use this item, the Demon's Door will stay open for 24 hours and all sorts of monsters will pop out of it. The monsters will disappear after 24 hours, but it's enough time to ravage the entire region, and if they're lucky enough, they might be even able to enter Seoul without suffering a single casualty. It's normally an item for opening a hidden dungeon, but since its difficulty is too high, they will use this legendary scroll in their strategy. Hwan says that it seems like a waste to use both minigame and demon door in the Korean server, but Jishun tells him that investing this much is nothing. As long as they can control Korea, they can suck up all the goodies to their heart's content, and he is sure that's what their Lord General of Heaven is thinking right now. With that said, the flashback ends and Seongwu gets teleported back into the real world with a bright flash of light. Seongwu is thinking that all other memory fragments that he has viewed up until now showed him ways to solve various problems, and he don't know what was the point of this memory fragment. The only thing he can do now is to find the scroll, and it might be in one of their containers. The Griffin Rider returns back to Seongwu after the reconnaissance. She informs Seongwu that the pirates are turning back toward China right now, and there are still a lot of pirates left on the deck of their main fleet. Seongwu is thinking that there are still some hours left until the minigame ends, and the pirate ships won't be able to leave the coast yet. The Griffin Rider further informs him that there are always a few mages on standby on deck who are keeping the shields up, and they are thinking of leaving right after the minigame ends. The mages have casted a huge shield around their ships, and it's difficult for the undead to infiltrate because it's on water. After some time, Seongwu remembers that he had gotten his hands on a useful card which can come in handy in this situation. After some time, the night falls and the mages are still on deck of the ship. One of the pirates says that it's too quiet, and another pirate warns them to not let their guard down as their enemies will attack them right after the game ends. They can escape this hellish Korean peninsula as long as they can endure it. They spot Seongwu and his minion birds rushing toward them from a distance. This time, Hanho and the Griffin Rider are also present there, and they seem quite offensive. The pirates on deck start running to grab mana potions for their mages so they can keep their large shield intact. The pirate captain says that the undead soldiers and the corpse explosion won't be able to affect them on top of the water. The Griffin Rider says that they are trying to endure it for as long as they can, and breaking the shield will waste a lot of mana. Seongwu tells her that it will be impossible to infiltrate the ship from the top, so he needs to find out if they placed shields under the water. The pirates notice that something is coming at them from under the water. After coming closer to the ship, the fishes jump out of the ocean. All fishes have orc skeletons in their mouths, which are looking like mermaids. After landing on the ship, they start battling it out against the pirates. All of a sudden, a big water splash appears behind the orcs. Seongwu is looking quite pumped up as he already hunted a new type of monster before coming here. Seongwu orders the monster to come out, and it turns out to be a big sea serpent, which is quite rare. A sea serpent is an underwater monster that is at least 10 meters long. It took just an hour to hunt this sea serpent, and it is a young sea serpent in the first place. Seongwu was barely able to kill it while continuously reviving his minions during the whole fight. The shield of the pirates starts blinking as it is losing power over time. The pirates think that these orcs are manageable and they can get rid of them in a while, but another figure appears on their deck. This figure turns out to be Ji Soo-yoon, who is known as Red Devil among the Chinese pirates. Ji Soo-yoon, without wasting any time, starts getting rid of the pirates. The Griffin Rider says that it is almost game over for the pirates, and Seongwu tells her to head down. After clearing the pirates from the ship, the Korean players head over to it. They start checking and unloading all containers containing good items. Since pirates were thinking of making a base in Korea, they brought a lot of good stuff with them. Hanho comes out with a lot of extra big chargers, and he shows them to everyone. These chargers are quite rare and they can provide power or recharge batteries. Hanho informs Seongwu that these chargers were stacked next to the engine room, and it looks like they powered this huge ship with these chargers. He informs Seongwu that they should head over to the captain's quarters as more treasures can be hoarded in there. After making their way inside the captain's quarters, they find a locked safe. Seongwu bursts open the safe with his raw power, which he is getting from the 3 points he captured as the game is still active. Inside the safe, he finds the item he previously saw in the memory fragment. This is a special ranked magic scroll called Devil's Door. It can open a Devil's Door for 24 hours. In short, it creates a path to Devil's Lair. The players can obtain extremely rare items by exploring the Devil's Lair, but it is not recommended to rush inside because this path goes both ways, and the things inside can also come out, and the recommended level for this item is 35. Seongwu thinks that this recommended level is too high. That's why they didn't clear it themselves and plan to unleash it in the Korean server. Seongwu is thinking that if the level of danger is so high, then the rewards must be good as well. But he also remembers how he barely survived his last secret dungeon and he is still on level 18. Seongwu stores it as it is impossible to clear it right now, and Ji Soo-yoon finds something else inside the safe. She finds a bank-type special item called Oath Safe. It's an item that allows a portion of the gold earned by contracted players to be automatically deposited. Players can register a contract by placing their palm on top of the safe. The owner of the safe can set a collection rate, and the gold that the contractor earns is automatically deposited into the safe according to the corresponding percentage. Its current collection rate is 80%, and the number of contracts are 56, and the gold balance is over 13 million. Seongwu is thinking that this is a crucial item to manage a group. They can rent it out or sell it to their allies, as it is going to be quite pricey. At the same time, they get a notification that the minigame risk has came to an end with the victory of the Koreans, and now rewards will be given to them. All players start receiving their rewards, which are quite generous. Seongwu got a total of 1.5 million gold as a reward for the minigame. His level has increased up to 19 and his stats have increased at an exponential rate. Seongwu selects a random skill card as his level up reward. Seongwu gets a basic crafting deadly poisonous cloud skill. It requires 30 mana and it creates a cloud containing deadly poison which sprinkles toxic rain on the area for 10 minutes and its cooldown is 1 hour. Seongwu is thinking that he got a good area skill that doesn't negatively affect his summons, and these foolish pirates prove to be a treasure trove for them. The next day, everything is moved into their temporary base. Hanho tells them that it is time for the strongest rogue to read comments, and that is going to be the summary of today's news. Seongwu and Ji-seun show fake excitement reactions, and Hanho tells them that their reactions suck. The first news is that the Metro Union is attracting a lot of attention. Upon hearing the news of the establishment of a union, groups of survivors from around the metropolitan area are gathering one after another in Yeongdongpo. The Liberation Guild side is intentionally spreading rumors. It's expected that the union will grow bigger in the future. Seongwu is thinking that the players who have survived up until now are a bit more powerful, and they can protect themselves. The key is to see how the union will utilize these survivors. Hanho tells them that the second news is regarding the spearman Kyungsu's secret letter. According to him, the average level of the people in the town of Suwon has risen up to 8. Even Kyungsu is bragging about hitting level 11. Meanwhile, Hanho, who is at the center of all this action, is working his ass off, is still at level 14. Seongwu and Ji-seun don't think he's doing much hard work, and Hanho reminds them that they won this recent game due to his brain. Hanho is thinking of himself as a role model for all 1-star players, and he recently learned a new shadow skill. Hanho then moves on to the next big news, which says that the Necromancer has reached level 19, which makes Seongwu tied for the first place in the rankings with Han Kang-sok. But then Hanho says he was joking as Han Kang-sok just hit level 20 an hour ago. Hanho mockingly tells Seongwu to work harder because he's letting them all down, and Seongwu gets ready to pop his head out of anger. Ji-seun is wondering that Seongwu is able to deal with a lot of monsters at once because of his minions, which exposes him to a lot of witnesses. But how in the world is Han Kang-sok able to be number 1 in the rankings without a single person seeing him, and how he has been leveling all this time at such a faster rate? Seongwu is thinking that maybe Han Kang-sok is hunting more than him, and maybe he's only targeting areas with a lot of monsters and a high-level boss. At the same time, Hanho notices a new sword on the waist of Ji-seun. Ji-seun informs them that she got this sword after finishing off the strongest fighter of the pirates. It's a heroic rank sword called Ji-num sword. It can even cut through magic. This sword was created with a rare magical metal called Ji-num, and it is extremely durable. Hanho says that now she has 3 swords. She can give one to Raidi, but Ji-seun is showing no signs of giving away her swords. After some time, the whole Ganghwa Island is quite peaceful, and there are some guards stationed outside the main building. All of a sudden, they spot a helicopter heading toward their location. Seongwu and his party arrive at the landing site. Minhum Song pops out with some crusaders and he congratulates Seongwu and his party for their marvelous victory against the pirates. Seongwu thanks him for the compliment and he asks him if there is a reason for his sudden visit. And Minhum Song informs him that something unexpected has happened. It turns out ranker number 1 Han Kang-sok has appeared. Seongwu asks him by appeared does he mean that Han Kang-sok came to Yeongdongpo? And Minhwa Song replies with a yes. He further informs Seongwu that Han Kang-sok requested one thing from them. He said he wanted to meet the 2nd ranked Necromancer. He further said that Seongwu is a crucial figure to the fate of Korea. He might be number 1, but he was too rude. He said that there was nothing for him to talk with the Crusaders and he won't say a thing until the Necromancer arrives. Seongwu tells Minhum Song to inform Kang-sok to wait a bit more. Seongwu needs to stop by the blacksmith store since he hadn't enough time before to strengthen his items. Minhum says that it is a request from the number 1 ranker and it can cause some complications in the future. Seongwu tells that even if he is number 1, it doesn't mean they should do everything he says. The union has just been established, so they need some sort of focal point. Seongwu starts leaving after giving a message for Han Kang-sok to wait. Minhum Song is thinking that it is turning into a staring contest between the 2 rankers, and he's feeling like a shrimp stuck in a whale fight. After some time, Minhwa Song is looking over things at their headquarters. A messenger comes running and he informs her that Minhum Song just contacted them. He forwarded a message from the Necromancer who told them to wait since he had business to take care of. Minhwa Song sent him on this mission since she was annoyed seeing him play around so much, but he couldn't accomplish such a simple task. The messenger tells her to relax as Minhum Song is a nice guy, and he will convince the Necromancer somehow. They get alerted after hearing the voice of the prosecutor who tells them that they have no choice but to wait. The prosecutor is getting more agitated as Han Kang-sok was someone who was always above him even before Seongwu surpassed him. And he is a person who he always wanted to meet once, but now he cannot even meet him because he keeps getting a notification that an unknown energy is encroaching the area. This unknown energy is being emitted by Han Kang-sok, who is waiting patiently for the arrival of the Necromancer.